Lu Sheng had just woken up from a nightmare, only to realize he was in yet another one. A loud and stern voice thundered through the classroom, jolting him from his dazed state. His mind was still clouded with confusion from the dream he had just emerged from. Standing at the podium was a middle-aged man, likely the teacher, who adjusted his glasses and glared at Lu Sheng with clear frustration. "Lu Sheng, there are less than 200 days left before the college entrance exams, and yet you dare to sleep in class," he scolded. "With your grades, do you think you'll even qualify for work at a construction site after graduation? Do you have any idea what the minimum blood key value requirement is for cement workers these days? It's 0.8. Have you even reached that?" Lowering his head, Lu Sheng rubbed his temples, feeling a dull ache. He remained silent, obediently listening to the reprimand. Sitting beside him, a chubby classmate named Liu Qiming turned and whispered, "Did you have another nightmare?" Lu Sheng nodded but didn't respond further. His eyes carried a deep helplessness. For 3 nights in a row, he had been experiencing the same disturbing dream. He couldn't describe it in detail, but he remembered the desolation and despair. The setting was an eerie wasteland, with terrifying monsters wandering aimlessly. He was certain it was a nightmare, not a simple dream. The aftermath of these dreams left him in an abnormal state, exhausted and sluggish. No matter how much he slept, he felt as if he hadn't rested at all. Over the past 3 days, his blood chi value had even decreased by 0.02. That seemingly small decrease was a significant setback. Recovering from it would require consuming expensive medicinal pills and days of rigorous training. After school, Lu Sheng left the campus, dragging his bag behind him. His body still felt heavy with fatigue. Before he could get far, Liu Qiming caught up to him, blocking his path. "Lu Sheng, let's go to the internet cafe," Liu Qiming suggested enthusiastically. Lu Sheng shook his head. "No, I'm going home." "So early? That's not like you? Come on, I'll pay for the drinks and the computer time," Liu Qiming coaxed. Still, Lu Sheng refused. "I really don't feel like it. I need to catch up on sleep." Liu Qiming gave him an exaggerated look. "You slept through half the class today and you're still tired?" Lu Sheng didn't bother explaining further and simply waved him off before continuing his walk. Before Liu Qiming could try again, a group of boys ran over, calling him to join them. "Are you coming or not?" Yeah, I'm coming," Liu Qiming called back before glancing once more at Lu Sheng, then running off with the others. Watching his friend leave, Lu Sheng sighed. The other students streamed past him, their black and blue school uniforms blending together like a flowing river as they rushed toward the school gates, disappearing into the crowded streets beyond. A thought surfaced in his mind. He had been living in this world for nearly 18 years now. The memories of his past life had faded over time, becoming vague and dreamlike. Some crossing. Yes, Lu Sheng had transmigrated. The world of his previous life had been entirely different. There were no martial arts, no monstrous creatures emerging from cracks in the ground. The news didn't report attacks by beasts or duels between warriors. Instead, students in that world worried about mathematics, science, and foreign language exams, not blood chi values, combat power indexes, or practical combat scores. Despite the endless exams in that world, at least it had been peaceful. Arriving home, Lu Sheng pushed open the door to find his father, Lu Dahai, shirtless and lying on the couch. His mother, Zheng Yufen, was carefully applying a medicinal plaster to his back, trying to find the best spot to place it. Lu Sheng's gaze lingered on his father's back, which was covered in patches from past injuries. His chest tightened with a pang of sorrow, but he suppressed it. "I'm home," he called. His mother looked up. "Are you hungry? Have an apple first. I'll start making dinner soon." "I'm fine," Lu Sheng replied, dragging his bag toward his room. He hesitated mid-step, then turned to his parents. Why don't we buy a chi massage device? It helps stimulate chi flow, relax muscles, and speeds up injury recovery. A classmate's family has one, and they said it works really well. His father scoffed. I'm not injured. I'll be fine in a few days. Save the money for your cultivation pills instead. Then, Lu Dahai shifted slightly to look at his son. How's your blood chi value lately? Have you surpassed 0.85 yet? I saw on the news today that the college entrance exam standards increased again. The required blood chi value is now 0.01 higher than last year. Lu Sheng's stomach clenched at those words. He quickly made an excuse. I know. I'll go train now. With that, he rushed into his room. He wasn't ready to face his father's disappointment. Lu Sheng closed the door to his room and exhaled, feeling a small sense of relief. In this modest space that belonged solely to him, he could finally unwind. The room was compact, furnished with only a single bed and a desk positioned in the corner. At the center, a black 2x1.5 yoga mat was surrounded by various workout equipment, including dumbbells, grip strengtheners, and sandbags. This served as both his martial arts practice area and a place for rest. Taking a deep breath to steady himself, Lu Sheng silently recited in his mind, "The 13th set of radio exercises start." This was a foundational practice akin to yoga but blended with elements of gymnastics and martial arts. The Global Martial Union's 24th form of body refining technique was devised by top martial masters based on ancient disciplines like yoga, martial arts, and jiu-jitsu. It's considered the best introductory training method for beginners. What I am practicing now is the 13th modified and refined version, designed to be several times more effective than the original. The world had changed drastically over 3 centuries ago when rifts appeared, leading to the emergence of terrifying monsters. This cataclysm altered the course of civilization entirely. Modern weaponry proved ineffective against the monsters, forcing humanity to seek alternative means of defense. A surprising biological development also occurred. Faced with the existential threat, human genetic limits seemed to break, allowing people to cultivate strength beyond normal capabilities. Thus, the era of martial arts began, advancing rapidly as it became the dominant path of survival. Despite this progress, humanity was still losing ground. The news constantly reported cities falling, populations shrinking, and the battle for survival growing increasingly desperate. You were born in an era of chaos. You must shoulder the responsibilities of this time. You are training in martial arts for the future of humanity. Each and every one of you is a vital spark in the martial path. These were words often drilled into students by their teachers. After completing 3 full cycles of the 24th form of body refining technique, Lu Sheng stopped and adjusted his breathing. A thin layer of sweat covered his body, his eyelids drooped, his body slackened, and before he realized it, he had drifted into sleep. A bleak, ashen sky, a brown, cracked earth, gray mist stretching endlessly in all directions, desolation, oppression, despair. This was the first thing Lu Sheng saw upon waking up. It's the same nightmare again. A wave of helplessness surged through him. He attempted to jolt himself awake, pinching his arms, pulling at his face. But nothing worked. Until the nightmare's predetermined duration elapsed, he would remain trapped inside. Ugh! 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 A strange guttural sound echoed from nearby, like someone struggling to breathe, accompanied by the eerie scraping of something being dragged. Here it comes! His heart clenched as the gray mist ahead parted, revealing a tall, rigid humanoid figure standing before him. The humanoid figure's complexion was pale, the eye sockets were sunken, and there were no eyeballs, only a pair of empty holes. There was a long slit on the face, which allowed him to clearly see the grayish-white facial bones as well as the dark flesh and blood. The The humanoid figure was stiff and sluggish, wearing a uniform similar to the defense team's uniform, but it was very filthy, covered in dirt, nearly identical to the zombies in movies that Lu Sheng had seen in his previous life. "Run!" That was Lu Sheng's first instinct. It was what he had done before. The zombie was slow, its movements sluggish and clumsy. There was no way it could catch up with him. Every time Lu Sheng tried to escape, he would inevitably lose consciousness, only to wake up again, trapped in the same nightmare. But this time, he decided to do something different. "I won't run anymore." Rolling up his sleeves, Lu Sheng took a deep breath and squared his shoulders. "It's just a dream anyway. Even if I get bitten, maybe it'll wake me up faster." With that thought, he stepped forward, deliberately closing the distance between himself and the undead creature. "Even though my grades aren't great, my blood chi value is at 0.8. That makes me physically superior to the average adult male from my previous life. Why should I be afraid of a mere zombie?" "Wind Spirit Kick!" He shouted the name of a move he had once read in a novel and surged forward, his foot slamming into the zombie's chest with a forceful kick. The creature stumbled back, its rotting body reeling from the impact before crashing onto the ground. A few meters away, he spotted a stone about the size of a watermelon. Perfect. Grabbing the heavy rock, Lu Sheng hoisted it over his head and took aim. In every movie, the head is always the weak spot. Let's see if that applies here too. With a grunt of effort, he brought the stone down with all his strength. Crack. The sound of breaking bone echoed through the eerie silence. The zombie twitched once, twice, then went completely still. It's over. Lu Sheng let out a deep breath, sitting down on the ground to recover. His heart pounded violently in his chest. The dream was incredibly vivid. His hands were trembling slightly from the rush of adrenaline, his breathing still heavy. He waited, expecting to wake up as he always did. But nothing happened. Still not waking up? Muttering under his breath, Lu Sheng was about to stand when he noticed something strange. The zombie's body was crumbling away. Like dust in the wind, it disintegrated before his eyes, dissolving into fine, dark ash. And then, dark tendrils of smoke erupted from the corpse, writhing like living shadows. Before Lu Sheng could react, they shot toward him, slamming into his chest. Ugh! A scorching heat spread through his body, and in the next moment, a torrent of fragmented memories flooded his mind. What do you want to do after graduation? Join the base defense team. The training is brutal, and the missions are deadly. Are you sure? It's my dream. Laughter. From today onward, you are a soldier of the 1359th Base Defense Team, identification number YH48549. Yes, sir, I won't let you down. Breathing techniques, body refinement. These are your lifelines. Master them if you want to survive. Understood, sir. Team 2, report. Damn it, where is everyone? Are they all dead? Who are you? No, YH48549, sir. What happened to your squad? Where's your captain? Sir, Team 7 has been wiped out. I'm the only one left. Silence. The base entrance is breached. Foreign monsters, they're everywhere. Dark fog. It's coming. Lu Sheng gasped, his eyes snapping open. It felt as if he had just watched an entire lifetime unfold in mere seconds. The memories belonged to the zombie he had just killed. No, not a zombie. A soldier. Lu Sheng clenched his fists, feeling a lingering sorrow settle deep in his chest. What the hell did this guy go through before he died? He exhaled slowly, shaking off the weight of the soldier's final moments. One thing was certain. This dream was much more than just a dream. Among them, one stood out, a zombie wearing a dented yellow helmet, a stark contrast to the uniformed undead he had encountered earlier. This time, fear did not grip him. The helmeted zombie's head rolled to the ground like a discarded ball, its lifeless eyes staring up at him. Lu Sheng froze, staring at his own hands, his pulse quickening. When did I become this strong? The helmeted zombie's body crumbled away, releasing a dark wisp of smoke. It drifted toward him, seeping into his skin. Lu Sheng moved first. He ducked under the zombie's downward strike, closing the gap in an instant. His elbow shot forward, driving into the creature's throat with brutal precision. Crack! The undead's head snapped back at an unnatural angle. Lu Sheng didn't hesitate. He drove his fist into its chest, toppling it to the ground. Without pause, he seized the iron rod and plunged it into the zombie's skull. Once. Twice. The body twitched, then stilled. A black tendril of smoke seeped from its corpse, flowing into him. Words and images flashed in his mind. Base. Falling. Dead. Doomsday. Ember. Lu Sheng inhaled sharply as the knowledge settled within him. This time the memories were filled with despair, chaos, and nightmarish creatures. His fingers curled around the iron rod. No, the broken spear. The weapon felt familiar now, like an extension of his body. His grip tightened. Let's keep moving. But before he could take another step, a sound rang in his ears. Bang, bang, bang! The world around him warped and flickered, his vision distorting like ripples in water. Then, darkness shattered. A sharp knocking echoed through the air. Lu Sheng's eyes fluttered open, his body sluggish as he pushed himself upright from the yoga mat beneath him. His head throbbed, the remnants of the dream clinging to his thoughts like cobwebs. A voice, cold and clear, pierced through the haze. Dinner is ready. How long are you going to stay cooped up in your room? Reality had returned, but the dream still lingered. Lu Sheng stirred awake to the sound of insistent knocking. The voice that followed was unmistakable. His younger sister, Lu Qinghe. Got it. Be right there, he responded. The knocking ceased immediately. As he sat up, clarity returned. Another nightmare. Only this time something was different. He felt good. Strangely good. There was no fatigue, no grogginess. Only a sharp awareness and an unfamiliar surge of energy coursing through his body. Pushing aside the lingering echoes of the dream, he flexed his fingers experimentally. A memory surfaced. No, not a memory. An instinct. Combat techniques, precise movements, honed reflexes. He could feel them etched into his very muscles, as if they had always been there. The memories. They didn't fade. I still remember everything. Every skill I absorbed in the dream is still here. A thought struck him like lightning. Had his strength increased? That should have been impossible. Physical power was tied to blood qi, and raising blood qi required intense training, specialized diets, and supplements. Yet he could feel the change. The sheer absurdity of it sent a thrill through him. If my strength has really improved, then my blood qi value should have risen too. There was only one way to find out. He needed a proper test. For now, though, food came first. Seated at the dinner table, Lu Sheng ate with an urgency that surprised even himself. He devoured bowl after bowl of rice, barely pausing between bites. By the time he finished his 7th bowl, he finally noticed the stares. His father, Lu Dahai, his mother, Zheng Yufen, and Lu Qinghe were all watching him with varying degrees of shock and confusion. Only then did he realize how much he had eaten. "Forget it, I'm full," he muttered, embarrassed, and moved to put down his bowl. Before he could, Lu Dahai snatched it from his hands. "What do you mean, forget it? A growing boy needs to eat. Wife, Cook another pot of rice and stir-fry 2 more dishes. Zheng Yufen stood without hesitation, heading straight for the kitchen. Lu Dahai turned back to Lu Sheng, his expression pleased. Boys your age eat like this when they're growing. It's a sign your body is developing. The more you eat, the stronger you'll get. Lu Sheng nodded absently, still adjusting to the sheer volume of food he had consumed. I'll go buy some qi-enhancing pills tomorrow, his father continued. The development period is the best time to boost your blood qi. We shouldn't waste it. Across the table, Lu Qinghe snorted, shoving a piece of roasted pork into her mouth. How much could it possibly increase? He's nearly 18 already. Lu Dahai shot her a sharp look. Don't discourage your brother. Any increase is good. Graduates from Wuhan University and junior colleges are treated completely differently. Every bit counts. Lu Qinghe scoffed, but said nothing more. Lu Sheng remained quiet as well, lost in thought. His sudden increase in appetite wasn't just surprising, it was alarming. He had eaten more than twice his usual amount, even more than Lu Qinghe, who had significantly higher blood qi than him. Maybe my blood qi really has increased. Maybe it wasn't just my imagination. That settled it. After finishing 2 more bowls, Lu Sheng excused himself from the table and headed straight for the door. He couldn't wait any longer. He needed to know. Now. Lu Sheng arrived at his destination, stopping in front of the Hongchuan Martial Arts Hall. Guided by his phone's navigation, he found himself standing before a rather unremarkable establishment. The hall wasn't particularly large, nor was its decor extravagant. It was simply an ordinary private martial arts school. His gaze lingered on a poster plastered near the entrance. It boasted of the hall's owner, Ni Hongchuan, a level 4 martial artist renowned for his mastery of traditional fist techniques. According to the advertisement, Ni Hongchuan had even ranked among the top 10 in the 23rd annual Beihai City Martial Arts Conference. The phrase level 4 martial artist stood out prominently, capturing Lu Sheng's attention. Based on the Global Martial Union's standards, a level 4 martial artist had to possess a blood qi value of over 200 and a combat power index exceeding 100,000. Lu Sheng did some quick mental calculations. That means his blood qi value is 200 times higher than mine, and his combat power index is 100 times greater. The disparity was staggering. As one advanced in martial arts, each level became exponentially harder to reach. To be a level 4 martial artist in Beihai City was to be an expert, someone with status and influence. Not that it had anything to do with Lu Sheng. Even if the school was reputable, he could never afford the tuition fees listed on the poster. Children from ordinary families like his could barely afford the supplements needed for daily martial arts training, let alone pay for specialized combat lessons. That privilege was reserved for the wealthy. If Lu Qinghe wanted to join, the family would probably cover the cost without hesitation. But me? Lu Sheng chuckled bitterly. Forget it. Besides, with my dreams allowing me to absorb skills and memories from zombies, I don't need their training. With that thought, he stepped into the martial arts hall. A receptionist sat at the front desk, a young woman in her early 20s with an attractive face. She straightened up and gave him a professional smile. Here to enroll in our martial arts training classes? She asked. Lu Sheng shook his head. No, I just want to test my blood qi value and combat power index. Most martial arts halls provided assessment services, offering results similar to those in schools, but at an affordable rate. The receptionist eyed his school uniform and quickly deduced his financial background. Her professional demeanor remained, but her enthusiasm waned. Go down the hallway to room 8, she instructed. The testing equipment is inside. Do you know how to use it, or should I get someone to assist you? Lu Sheng nodded. I can handle it. She handed him a rental card and returned to her work. Following her directions, Lu Sheng found the designated room and stepped inside. The blood qi testing device resembled a compact printer with a small notch at the bottom and a sterile sampling needle placed beside it. He unwrapped the needle, pricked the tip of his left middle finger, and let a drop of blood fall into the device's notch. A soft blue glow flickered over the crimson droplet before the machine emitted a faint beep.
A value appeared on the screen. 0.963. Lu Sheng's hands clenched into fists. Even though he had suspected it, seeing the confirmation left him breathless. His blood chi value had risen, by a significant margin. An increase of nearly 0.2 in just one night, and that was only after absorbing the memories of 3 zombies. Everything from my dreams is real. This isn't just some game where I kill monsters and level up. This is true cultivation. Excitement surged through him. Nobody wanted to be mediocre. Lu Sheng had already experienced an entire lifetime of it. Now, for the first time, he saw a path to greatness. Calm down. I still need to check my combat power index. The next device was much larger, nearly as tall as an adult. A padded groove sat at its center, designed to absorb the force of a punch. He took a deep breath. His mind recalled the memories of the uniformed zombie, the way it punched, the way its muscles coiled before each strike. Lu Sheng planted his feet, rotated his waist, and unleashed a punch with all his might. Boom! A number flashed on the screen. 130. His combat power index had surpassed 100. That was higher than the typical index for someone with his blood chi value. The technique he absorbed had already begun to show its effects. He repeated the test with his left arm. The result was slightly lower, but still over 100. After a few more trials, he finally stepped back, satisfaction settling over him like a warm wave. Last year, the minimum requirements for martial arts undergraduates in Beihai City were a blood chi value of 1.05 and a combat power index of 105. A smile spread across his face. I'm already close to that standard. Even if I never dream again, I can reach it within the next 200 days before the entrance exam.
Please subscribe to my channel SDM Recap Legends for more epic videos.